Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Thank you, Al Heyman. Shout out to tonight's PBC card, PBC on Fox. It was a great card, headlined by Deontay Wilder-Gerald Washington. I want to give my thoughts post-fight, the good, the bad, the ugly. I just got in from LA, and that's a 6-hour drive, FYI. California is bigger than a lot of people think. Speaking of California, Gerald Washington, he's actually from like the next city over. We have the same area code, 707. Shout out to the 707. I want to give my thoughts on the performance. Now, I didn't even do a prediction video for a few reasons, because I know Gerald Washington, and you know what I mean, people, they were already saying stuff like, oh, you're just biased, because go listen to my Boxing Ego first look tell of the tape with this particular fight. The video's on the channel, I don't delete anything. And I told you guys what type of fight this would be. I told you guys this. Deontay Wilder, a lot of times he's fighting guys 6'4" or under. Gerald Washington only being 6'6", being in dumbass shape, athletic, former football player, strong, with some boxing ability, with the ability to use his legs, etc. I told you that would give Wilder some issue. It's on the Boxing Ego first look, even if I didn't do a prediction video, right? And that's what we've seen tonight. But see, this is the problem with boxing. This is why I don't talk boxing with a lot of people in the comment section. Everybody always wants to say, because they may not have heard of a person, they don't bother to do their research. It's just, that guy's a bum. Who is he? Who the fuck is that guy? Ha ha. You know what I'm saying? And it would benefit you to do your research. Like Tim Bradley versus Ruslan Provodnikov. A lot of people didn't know much about Ruslan Provodnikov, but that ended up being a dogfight for Bradley. A harder fight than some of his other fights with big names like Devin Alexander, Lamont Peterson, right? And Ruslan was probably littler known in America. So it's not just because you haven't heard of a person, especially when some of you guys aren't even avid boxing fans. Like, if you watch all these cards, you would have seen Gerald Washington before. You know what I mean? I think he was on I can remember cards he was on. You know what I mean? He fought Amir Mansour. That was a main event on a card. I believe he was on the Robert Guerrero versus Aaron Martinez undercard. You know what I mean? This is just off the top of the dome. Pause. So, that's what some of you guys got to do your research and get familiar. I told you, Klitschko went through the same thing. Fighting somebody who is your height or very close to it and has similar attributes in terms of athleticism, strong, stuff like that, that could pose problems. You've seen it with Tyson Fury versus Klitschko. If Klitschko is leaning on Alex Lepai and Kubrat Pulev and Povetkin and all these guys who are maybe big but smaller, a lot shorter than Klitschko, it's a different complication, because you've seen Gerald Washington, he was popping that jab out to perfection, and all of a sudden people were like, oh, El Gallo, he's doing way better than I thought. Like, you know what I'm saying? People are all like surprised. There's nothing to be surprised about. If you watched the Amir Mansour fight, you would have seen pretty much the same thing. I thought, given the situation, I thought Gerald Washington came out pretty composed, and he was besting Wilder to the jab. And this is the thing with Deontay Wilder, is Wilder, some of his flaws and some of the things he doesn't do consistently makes his fights very entertaining. You know what I mean? Like I said, some of y'all motherfuckers just want to complain. If it's a knockout artist, then you're like, oh, he gets hit too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's funny to me because I notice it a lot more, because I have a channel with a good fan base. I notice it a lot more with black fighters. And it's like, when a guy like Marcos Maidana or John Molina or whoever gets hit a lot, but they have menacing power and they could turn fights around, you don't really hear people like, oh, he's getting hit too much, as much, or this fight was boring, or this, you know what I mean, Brandon Rios. But when it comes to like Wilder or even Terrence Crawford in his fights where he got hit more than not, like Crawford's a prime example. Thierry Jean, Hank Lundy, round one, he probably got hit more than he did versus Victor Postol, because he knew Postol was a different puzzle. Crawford being an intelligent, very intelligent fighter, he knows who to do stuff with. Like, you know what I mean? Postal, he's a good boxer from the Ukraine school of boxing. So it'd be foolish to fight super aggressive, like with throw caution to the wind. That's how Lucas Matisse got stopped by Postal. Selçuk eyed it. You know what I'm saying? So Crawford knew he had to have a different game plan against the taller guy with boxing ability and some reach, right? And then people said he ran. But then when he was getting hit too much in the Hank Lundy fight or Thierry Jean, you say he got hit too much. So it's like, which one is it? Again, Deontay Wilder, his fights are always exciting, every single one of them. And people always complain about, oh, he does this wrong, he does this wrong. But at the end of the day, who gives a shit? And I think it's a lot of people use Floyd Mayweather as this like catalyst. Not everyone's gonna have the cleanest wins where it's just lopsided, power or not power. You know what I'm saying? Period. Heavyweight division, one punch can change anything, right? And if it weren't for the boxing fans calling everybody a fucking bum or a cherry pick, then, and people actually did their research, then you would know some of these fights. Just because you have not heard of them, they could be competitive, right? In my honest opinion, I think certain fights like Gerald Washington, Johann Duhaupas, Wilder looked worse in those fights than he did against Bermane Stiverne, who was the champion. And Bermane Stiverne, some people were saying he was going to knock Wilder out. You could say he was dehydrated or whatever, but that's just the facts. I thought Wilder was on his JOB that night versus Stiverne, and he looked really good. And he should have been credited for a knockdown, right? So it's boxing. Things happen. Bottom line, Wilder does have flaws, but a lot of people have flaws. You know what I mean? Golovkin has flaws. Golovkin, when he was fighting Kell Brook, your head's not supposed to be getting bopped up by a welterweight whose power you don't feel with consecutive uppercuts. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Golovkin has a man-style chin, and he gets it done. He can pull the trigger and break your eye socket. So deal with it. You know what I mean? You have to find another solution. And realistically, that's what it was with Wilder. And like I said, that's what makes Wilder fights fun to me, because it's not always going to be the prettiest. I see him make mistakes, right? Like sometimes his chin's in the air, he backs up, his hands are low. Sometimes he's jiving around in there. You know what I mean? Sometimes he doesn't pull his glove back quick enough for my liking or whatever. You know what I mean? I thought he should have been countering. Like, I always learn in boxing, right? When somebody's doing A, you do what they're doing. If they're killing your body, you're fighting Orlando Salido and he's just bop, bop, raking your body, you do the same thing to him. You know what I mean? Gerald Washington was jabbing your lights out, you jab him. And the thing is, Wilder has power in both hands. A lot of people get it twisted, thinking he only has power in the right. He has power in both hands, and he's starting to utilize that more. And I think his left hand might even be stronger because of his injury, because he only had, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, because I know one of his hands was injured. I thought his left was his only one he could use, but I might have it backwards. But either way, he has power in both hands, and he has a good jab. But the thing with Wilder is he's not always consistent, and his performances don't always consist. Like, I thought he was very disciplined versus Stiverne, but then I watched his fight with Audley Harrison, and he looked mad wild and mad sloppy. Like, you know what I mean? He was like reckless. He was throwing punches so wild that he knocked himself on the canvas when he hurt Harrison, the gold medalist, right? Same thing with Gerald Washington. When he had him hurt from the first sequence was bow bow. It was a right hook, and then he tapped him with the left to follow it up, and then you seen Gerald Washington was clearly hurt, because even when he but when he got up, his legs didn't look good. You know what I mean? He was trying to buy time. But Wilder, he you know what I mean? He has that Bama blood, that Alabama blood. He smells blood, and he's coming, wild or not. And see, this is the thing. You got to find a way to survive, because whether he's wild or not, he was still landing some. He was missing and whiffing, but he was connecting some shots when Gerald Washington got back up in the ref after he administered the count. So that's the thing. That's the thing about it. There's a lot of fighters that I think have flaws, but what they do well can overcompensate for those flaws. And that's what it is with Wilder. I met the dude. Dude's fucking big, pause. He's a big dude. So a lot of people, okay. A lot of y'all don't watch boxing. I can tell, because it's like a lot of fly-by-night fans. You know what I'm saying? Like Wilder, this wasn't his greatest performance, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat that. I don't think it was. I had Gerald Washington winning the first 3 or 4 rounds. I think I had him 4-0. I thought Washington was looking good, and I thought he was besting Wilder to the jab, and he was also doing the better inside work, and he was like popping Wilder's head back and kind of like getting off his offense first. You know what I'm saying? And Wilder it looked like he was playing catch up. So I had Washington winning up until the point, but again, you still got to deal with that when he comes, when the thunder lands, when them hammers drop. You got to be able to deal with that, and that's where experience plays in. Washington, he didn't really like aggressively clinch hard enough, and that onslaught. Wilder, you have to find some kind of way. You might even want to take a knee or something. I don't know, because it's in the heat of the moment, but you have to be able to survive that. You know what I mean? Floyd Mayweather versus Mosley, because he's trying to take your head off. He like almost knocked Jack Reese out, or the ref, whoever was reffing, because he's like going so like throwing haymakers. So a lot of people bringing up, again, some of you guys are fly-by-night fans. They're like, oh, Wilder. After someone has a suspect performance or not their best performance, it's always, oh, this person will beat them, right? Oh, that wasn't the greatest them, so this person, Anthony Joshua, will beat him. It's possible, but that's a good fight. That's why I want to see it. It's possible Joshua could beat him, but Joshua has flaws too. He got hurt by Dillian White. If Dillian White can hurt you, and I'm not saying Dillian White has no power, but Wilder has more power, and he's taller, and he's athletic and probably quicker, right? And he has more experience, and he's a champion, where Dillian White was none of those things. You know what I'm saying? So these are all good fights. To me, honestly, I think Tyson, after seeing if I'm going off of that performance, Tyson Fury seems more challenging with what he does than Anthony Joshua. Not saying Joshua absolutely can't win. I love Joshua. I fuck with Joshua. He can win, but based on what that Wilder that showed up, Tyson Fury's style would give him more problems, because using that frenetic motion, plus he's taller than Gerald Washington and Deontay Wilder, you know what I mean? And he could box. The thing is, Tyson Fury got sat down by a cruiserweight in Steve Cunningham, who had moved up. So these are all good fights, man. Luis Ortiz, all of these fights for Wilder. And hopefully Wilder gets to fight Joseph Parker, a new champion, if he beats Hughie Fury, Joshua Klitschko. I want to see that, but Wilder's a bad man, and a lot of people are like discounting him because he was losing. Again, not everyone's Floyd Mayweather. Not everyone's gonna pitch shutouts in every fight, especially in the heavyweight fucking division, when you have a good boxer who's hungry, who's 6'6", who's trying to make the most of his opportunity. So shout out to my dude Gerald Washington. Shout out to Deontay Wilder. It was a great build-up, mutual respect from both. Other thing is, you got to consider the heavyweight division. Washington came in weight-wise at the weigh-in. He was heavier than Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying? All those things factor in. I don't know how much they rehydrated to, but at the weigh-in, Deontay Wilder weighed 222 pounds and Gerald Washington was 239. So people are like, oh, it's the heavyweight division. It doesn't matter. It does matter. Someone's 222 and then someone else is 239. That's a pretty big gap. That's a nice size gap. You know what I'm saying? You fight somebody with that. You know what I'm saying? Like people get it twisted. That's 17 pounds. And that's not including if Gerald Washington rehydrated and went out and ate pizza or whatever he did. You know what I'm saying? Ate carbs after. That's a 17-pound advantage. So, I mean, again, it's just like Broner Granados. I told people that was going to be a tough fight. Not all these fights are going to be like these clean sweeps and grand slams where it's just one-sided. And that's what I thought. Some of you guys like to complain. That's what I thought you guys like seeing. Entertaining fights. That's what we got tonight. Wilder, Washington. And I don't think Washington's stock dropped because I think he took advantage of an opportunity because Wilder's other opponent wanted to cheat. And he tried to seize the moment. There's no shame in that. You know what I mean? I don't think he would have challenged for a title without a couple more fights. But the opportunity presented itself and he took it. So I can't be mad at that. You know what I mean? But there's still, man, there's still a ton of fights for him. You know what I mean? He was boxing well. He was jabbing well. He's in shape. And see, this is the other thing you got to keep in mind. He was hurt. There's no twisting it, bending it, twisting it. El Gallo was hurt. Black Rooster was hurt. But he didn't get stretched. You know what I'm saying? He was still functional. So that he shows that he's in some mean shape. You know what I mean? Because Szpilka looked dead. Artur Szpilka was just like, oh. He was like crucified on the canvas. And Deontay Wilder has done that to many of people. So you guys got to give props where props are due. Shout out to Wilder. He has some flaws, just like other fighters, but he can also turn it around with one shot and debilitate the fuck out of you. And that's what it you know, it's boxing. I thought Canelo was losing the first 4 rounds to Amir Khan. But guess what? His body shots started taking a toll. Khan started slowing down in rounds 5. And in one single shot got Khan out of there when he fought Canelo. And that's what happens when you mess with guys that have power. You could be behind, you could be trailing, but they're always dangerous. You know what I mean? And Wilder has power in both hands. Salute to Washington. Salute to Wilder. I'm ready for the next fights in both of their careers. Let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.